Mr. Mom, taking on a woman's role. These are all the things that men are going to hear whenever they're faced with the decision of whether they want to be a stay-at-home dad or not. I'm going to tell you why I think more men should consider staying home and being stay-at-home dads based on my experience. Is it the new norm? I think it is. I think more men today are finally breaking out of this. We're not in the 1950s anymore, and men are going to stay at home and they're going to be with their children. It is a trend and it's catching fire. These statistics are based on Pew Research from 2014, and they say that 2 million men classified as stay-at-home dads. And when you say classified as staying home, that means that they choose to be home and that it's not part of getting fired or being laid off or being unemployed. The number of men choosing to stay at home has risen from 5% to 21% of surveyed fathers. Let's talk about the benefits. One of the benefits is it forms an incredible bond with your kids. I personally enjoy being home with my son now. My daughter's finally in school. My wife she got to stay at home with Claire, and then now I get to stay at home with Miles, and it's the interactions that we have throughout the day are just something that cannot be replicated unless you are with a child from birth until it's time for them to go to school. Another benefit is your feeling of self-accomplishment. It's the fact that, for me personally, I can be a full-time student, be a full-time father, be a full-time husband, and one day, again, be a full-time employee. Getting stuff done around the house it's hard. It's hard when my brain is not programmed that way. And it shreds the gender norms. With more men being able to stay home, it not allows women to go out and work, but it's a nice that it doesn't force a woman to have to choose between being a stay-at-home mother and a working career woman, because no woman should have to choose between that, because men don't have to choose between that. So it's just breaking those barriers. Some negatives are it can be lonely if I stay at home with a 6-month-old all day. He doesn't really talk back, so my adult interaction can be limited, and it can be frustrating. Having to juggle between my school schedule and studying throughout the day and making sure he takes his naps and he gets his bottles and gets fed and bathed and clothed. It's tough and it can be frustrating. But ultimately, it is what you make it. And words don't define my role. I define myself as first a father, and then a husband, and then a student. I will never balk at the words Mr. Mom, because that's implying that a man can't do what a woman does in the home, and that's just, those terms are gone. We shouldn't talk like that anymore. Be the example you want your kids to be. I want my son and my daughter to not think of gender norms as something that we talk about in society anymore. They should just be squashed. My advice for men that are transitioning into this role is embrace your new role. This is what you do now. If it could be different, then make it different. But if it's not, then stick with it and embrace that you're a stay-at-home dad and you get to be with your kids. You get to do all the stuff that you want to do. Hit the pavement and don't look back. Just run with it. If this is for your family, being in a better financial situation, which is our case. My wife wanted to work more, and then she makes more than me, so it just made sense this way, and I wouldn't turn back. And remember the purpose of your decision, which is what I was tying into that last one, is if it's for the financial benefit of your family, just remember that's what it's for, and it doesn't have to be forever. And I think there's such a negative connotation with being a stay-at-home parent. People can sometimes say that they're lazy or that they're just not wanting to work, but that's not true. This is almost like a second job, and you're not alone. This is an example. This is a picture from DadCon 2018. Know your resources. The National At-Home Dad Network. They host chapter meetings throughout all major U.S. cities, and they meet once a year, I think, in a designated location. Last year was London. Obviously, we can't fly to London, but there are resources, there are blogs, there are other dads like you that can do this and that want to do this. And just remember, you're not alone, and you're just like them, and you can do this. Thank you.